All right. So your name is pronounced Rony.
Rony, and my last name is Mazumder.
Mazumder.
It's a typical Bengali name. So in Bengali, it's Mazumder rather than Mazumder, but it's spelled in Mazumder in English. So Mazumder is okay.
All right. So what do you prefer, Mazumder?
Yeah, for sure. Mazumder.
I'm bad at pronouncing things in general, so if I can get anywhere close,
you're doing fine. You're doing better than a lot of people. Trust me.
I have a bad last name. Also, my last name is very German, and it's pronounced Steininger, but everyone wants to pronounce the G. So it's like
that's pretty common in English, right?
Yeah. So they want to say Steininger or Steininger, but it's Steininger.
Right.
Trying to like. So I tell people say Stein, ing,
right.
But it's still very, very difficult.
Right, I could relate. There's a famous German soccer player. His name is Bastian Schweinsteiger, and that was quite a bit of that name. That reminds me of that name. So it's Steininger.
Steininger.
Okay.
Yeah. You barely pronounce the G. It's just the ing.
Yeah, exactly.
So Steininger. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Or you could pronounce it in the traditional German, I guess, which would be Steininger.
Yeah, Steininger. That's probably better.
Yeah. That's how I took German for like a year or two in college, and that's how my teacher, because me and my brother were in the same class. And she would go, "The Steininger brothers? Are the Steininger brothers here?"
Yeah. So you know German or you don't?
No. I took some classes and I can pick up some things when I hear it. Like when me and my brother watch movies that have German in it.
Right.
We pick up on it. But no, I can't. I couldn't go to Germany and start speaking to people.
No, I totally understand that. That's like almost my Spanish. I mean, I could do it here and there, but I cannot basically. My Spanish is mi hablo no español. So
yeah. My way of speaking in other languages is like I need to go to the bathroom. And they're like, you got to go over this way.
That's very important. I was recently in Mexico and I didn't know what is baño, so. That's a very important word if you're going to Spanish speaking.
I figure if you look at someone and go, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you want to go over that way? Go over there."
Yeah, exactly.
Do that.
No,
don't do it
true.
here.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's get into this.
Sure.
That's good.
Hey everybody, Koricon Nala here, and I am joined by a subscriber. His name is Rony Mazum. Oh man, I did this again last time. Mazumder. How do you pronounce it? Say how you pronounce it.
Mazumder.
Okay, I was fairly close. I was kind of close.
Yeah,
we were joking about how my last name can't be pronounced either, so it's not like. I'm just bad at pronouncing things. But anyway,
it's just normal, I guess. I'm bad at pronouncing lots of other names. I have really hard time pronouncing some of the like Scandinavian names. So
like Jake Gyllenhaal. His last name is actually pronounced Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Who's gonna do that?
Right. Exactly.
Now we've been talking for a while ever since I did that video about asking for collabs, and
Right.
We wanted to do something that would be a little bit different, and you came up with a really unique, cool idea about talking about movies that you grew up with. Now, you live in Canada right now. Where are you in Canada?
I'm living in British Columbia, northeastern part of British Columbia. It's almost in. It's called Dawson Creek at the moment. I've been in different places. I've lived in Prince George for a while. I moved to Terrace, which is northwestern part of the British Columbia, and then I moved to this part, which is northeastern part. I traveled because of the job, and I've changed some, companies. So right now I'm hoping to stay here for a little bit. And hopefully to weather. Because northern BC.
We're breaking up a little bit. Just want to make sure everything's all right. But yeah, it looks okay. What part of India are you from? Where did you grow up?
No, I'm not actually from India. I'm actually from Bangladesh.
Okay.
So it's just next door. The Bengali is the same language that West Bengal of Indian province. They speak. The dialect might be a little bit different. The Bengali in Bangladesh is a little bit different than in terms of dialect, but it's the same language in terms of written and written literatures, or the movies or something like that. It's fairly common and very close.
So so we were going to talk about like things that you had grown up with. What kind of let's go back like super early. Say you're really young. What kind of TV shows did you end up seeing when you were really young?
Well, we used to have very good Bengali dramas back when there was only one Bangladeshi TV channel available. There are some dramas I do remember, and obviously some movies. There are lots of Indian movies we could, see we were exposed to. There are Bengali movies of Bangladesh and Bengali movies of India. That was very common. The language is obviously Bengali is a major language for me to understand, and that's been the movies I've been grew up with. But then I picked up, when I was a kid, I could pick a lot of Hindis because there's a bit of proximity of the languages, and the more movie you see, you kind of understand a bit of Hindis too.
So let me ask us real quick before we get into that. So you're saying like, because Hindi and Bengali is somewhat fairly close, like if you watch enough of the movies, you pick up on things. Like, how close is it? So this is something that's, I think, is kind of hard for Americans to understand, because English is it's like a melting pot of language. Like, we steal words from all languages. That's basically what English is like a common man language that just steals from all the European languages. So how does one dialect get really close to another one? Are there is it major words that are the same, or are they pronounced somewhat similar enough? Like, how does that work?
Well, when I say dialect, it's two different. Well, there are lots of other dialects in Bangladesh itself. I mean, if you go to southern part, there's the influence of Burmese or Myanmar language. If you travel towards this eastern part of Bangladesh, that's where Assam is the nearest province of India. There is a bit of influence of that. If you travel towards nearby Calcutta border in Jessore area in Bangladesh, there is a bit of influence of that dialect on that side. And there is a certain difference in Dhaka language. There are two different languages in Dhaka itself. There's Old Dhaka. They speak a little bit of mix of, I believe there are lots of Biharis used to stay there, and there's a bit of mix of Bihari and Bengali, and that's been mashed into one language. And then there's a new modern sort of language which is very, very close to the language people speak in India or Indian side of the border. So that's about the first thing about the Bengali language. There is a bit of dialect when you travel region to region, but one could understand easily what others are saying, except the Chittagong area that I think most of the Bengali people have a hard time if they're not from that area to understand it. And when I say Hindi, there are major lines, or the Hindis or Bengali are the origin of them are Sanskrit, and they've been evolved. So there are lots of similarities in terms of probably phrases and idioms and sort of other sentences. If anyone speaks any ill-intended line or something, other could easily pick it off. You could easily understand it. And there's North Indian language such as Urdu. Urdu is right now the state language of Pakistan. Bangladesh was part of Pakistan as well. So there was a bit of, understanding of Urdu. I wouldn't say as much as Hindi, but people do understand that. I mean, Urdu is not used much, but I think the Indian film, when I say Bollywood, sort of Bollywood's movies probably entered in Bangladesh much quicker than Hollywood, because people probably don't understand English as much as they understand Hindi, because it's the closest thing they could understand, right?
Right. Okay. So is it kind of more of like a lot of slang or just changes in the words, but you can like pick up the word enough to understand what's going on?
They're totally different language, but you could understand, you could pick up the words, pick up the sentences, and then you could form it. And then when you kind of start to listen, and the other thing about Bollywood, it's about songs as well. Mm-hmm. So when there is a catchy song, you're kind of humming or something like that, and you start to understand a bit of meaning of it, that helps a lot. So that's how probably I grew up with the Hindi movies. That's probably the first sort of movie that is not in my language, but the foreign language that I've seen. And then there are lots of movies I've seen as I grew up with, mostly very kind of typical sort of formula movies, like escapist sort of movie that has romance, action, drama, everything. So that's how I could remember during like early 90s, the movies mostly mix or blend of everything.
So what were the like big influential movies when you were a kid? Lots of Bruce Lee movies. Because the action a lot. I don't know why I couldn't stand much of romantic films. I mean, I probably was too little as a kid to understand the gravity of romance. I mean, I could only understand there should be a hero. Like probably my first English movie that I've seen, it was Sylvester Stallone in The First Blood. And that's the image I had, that there should be a Rambo or something like that destroying the enemy. There was that white and black, no gray area. So that was probably easy. And obviously Bruce Lee was a huge influence. First, his movies, I probably didn't understand much of the dialogues or what are the context of the
or the the storyline, why it's evolving, but I enjoyed the action. So I knew there's in my mind there is a soft corner for good action. So Bruce Lee was huge, influential. Arnold Schwarzenegger was huge, influential, and obviously Sylvester Stallone. As I saw some other movies like Rockies, series of Rockies, and they're.
I love the Rocky movies.
Right. So when I started to watch those, then. And most of the Hindi films at that point of time, except there was Amitabh Bachan was still ruling Bollywood. I mean, he's still working. He's still actively working. But he was the hero, right? He was the hero, and really angry young man sort of character. Used to take revenge sort of movies. My father used to see a lot, and. Movie stars such as Sunny Deol, he's still active, I guess. He's not as active. He used to do lots of action movies. Sanjay Dutt, he started as he was one of the movie stars I used to look up.
So what are some of those? What are some of the movie titles? Give me some movie titles of that era that like really pop out at you.
Right. Ghayal of Sunny Deol. I remember that. That is a fantastic movie. That's a good movie. Then Sadak, Sajan of Sanjay Dutt, Khalnayak, before he went to jail, I guess. He was doing radio at that point of time. And then I do remember seeing Agneepath of Amitabh Bachchan was they remade it again. I mean, they made it again with Hrithik Roshan, but original, I believe it came in 1989. But then I watched it probably years later, and there was a movie that basically. There was Amitabh Bachchan and Mithun Chakraborty, if I'm correct, at that movie. And that was a powerful movie for me to remember, especially some of the scenes and the revenge drama.
What was that called again?
And then Agneepath.
I'll have to have you send. Yeah, I'll have to have you send me a list of these. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I am.
Oh, I was gonna say I'll have to have you send me a list of these.
Yeah, sure. Because there was I realized that I'm a huge fan of action movies that has some kind of stories. And those time, it's either Sunny Deol or Sanjay Dutt was doing the action movies, and outside of that, it's either Stallone or either Arnold Schwarzenegger doing all the action movies in Hollywood. So that was great era to basically. There's also, influence of a little bit of Jackie Shroff, and right now his son is working, Tiger Shroff. Jackie Shroff was a pretty influential figure at that point of time. Then Anil Kapoor normally used to be. I mean, I remember Lakhan, which is directed by Subhash Ghai. He used to be a huge director at that point of time. Lakhan was starring Jackie Shroff and Anil Kapoor as brother, and they've done quite a bit of film together as elder brother and younger brother. But I do remember Lakhan. Do remember Khalnayak of Jackie Shroff and Sanjay Dutt. So yeah, those are the movie I do remember as a kid growing up.
How old are you?
Right now, I'm 32.
Okay, so I'm 40. So I got 8 years on you.
Right.
What about Jackie Chan? Was that Jackie Chan ever popular?
Jackie Chan? Yeah. Hong Kong movies were. I mean, I was seeing bits and pieces, not as, it was hard for me to see the subtitle and stuff like that. But any kind of great action was preferably at that point in time was Bruce Lee dominated and nobody else. Like I used to see with my uncle or my father or someone like that, and they used to play lots of Bruce Lee movies, even some, I don't know if you believe it, Chuck Norris movies.
Chuck Norris, yes.
Right. Those are fun.
They're cheesy, but they're fun.
Yeah, they're cheesy. That's exactly. That's can be true for lots of Bollywood movies too. I mean, some of them has very good stories around, but some of them are really, really cheesy. That I understood later. I mean, as I basically grew up.
Well, and it's the same thing in America. We have a lot of movies that are cheesy but fun. You know, that there's nothing wrong with that. It's more of you just. Well, the first Rambo was more of a serious kind of social commentary on what was going on with the Vietnam War in the time period. But when you go to Rambo 2, 3, 4, then you're like, no, it's just this guy going crazy and I just love the action. But the first movie, had a lot of social commentary on how veterans were being viewed at the time. But like with Jackie Chan, I've got a few right here. I was going through some of my dad's old VHS tapes. Here I've got Drunken Master 2.
Right.
Let's see. We got, what's this one? Project A 2.
Right.
Here's Project A. This is their first one. Got a few of these. What's this one? I don't even know what this one is. Oh, the Armor of God.
Okay. Yeah, very famous one.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of them. My dad used to ship these over from Hong Kong back in the early 90s before Jackie Chan was famous out here. And so we have all of these like Hong Kong.
I was seeing Jackie Chan is probably in Hollywood movies like Rush Hour and stuff like that. Before that, I saw bits and pieces, but my English wasn't really great to pick up the subtitle. Mm-hmm. So yeah, then I explored those Hong Kong.
So did you not have anybody do subtitles in Bengali for some of these foreign movies?
Not at that point. There was like VHS, video cassette sort of area. I don't remember of having a Bengali subtitle, or not a lot of people actually would like to read. To be honest, I was one of them.
Well, and that's the same kind of problem you have out here. Is a lot of people don't want to watch foreign movies because they don't want to read the subtitles.
Well, yeah, that I picked up, and thankfully I picked up, and then I started to explore like East Asian movies, to Scandinavian movies, to South American movies, Mexican movies. Yeah, so it took a while. I mean, once I picked up my English properly, and then it was fairly easy.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm a weird guy because I don't mind subtitles on a movie.
No,
now, it takes a little bit more attention. So like I can't just put a movie up on one monitor and do something on another monitor because I have to read the subtitles.
Exactly.
So it's I have to give it more concentration than I do a lot of movies. But I don't it doesn't bother me. And
it's totally worth it, to be honest. That's uh, it takes one or two movies for you to get used to subtitle. But then it depends on the, if it's happening, too many things happening in the same scene, it might be too much. Then go back and try to, see it again. I think first couple or three movies is the most difficult period for subtitle. Like once you get that over, I think it gets easier.
Yeah, I think I was just exposed to subtitled movies at a young age. Like my dad would get these VHSs of Jackie Chan, or,
right.
He watched Indian movies for the past 20 something years. And so for me, it was like it was just another way of watching a movie. Like subtitles wasn't a big deal. But I talk to a lot of people nowadays, and they have a hard time watching anything with subtitles. Like they can't do it. They're like, "Oh, you want me to read the movie?" I'm like, oh, "Come on, it's not that big a deal." They're like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think it's that hard. But some people make it sound like I'm making them pull teeth.
Yeah. No, I totally
They're
get
like subtitled.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. When I say to some of my colleagues to watch, suppose, a South Korean film or a film made in Denmark or in Norway, they say what language it is. Then I have to say, no, it's the native language, but you have subtitle on it. And even in Netflix, you have that. Mm-hmm. But they don't do it. They don't do it because it's probably too much work to read at the same time.
Yeah, but then they want to watch a dubbed version, but then they don't like it because the dubbed version is not good. And I tell them, well, you got to watch the subtitled version because the dubbed version is just bad.
Yeah, it's simply bad. Yeah, it doesn't work. I've watched The Mummy.
Which one?
The 1999, 2001.
Oh, the one with Brendan Fraser.
Exactly. And that was a bad taste in my mouth, or my ear, I should say, in terms of dub. I thought, it wasn't good. Wasn't good for me. Then I do remember watching some of Satyajit Ray movies in Bengali. They were Bengali language movie mostly. And then I saw subtitle, and my question, I was probably in grade 9 or 8, and my question to whoever was showing the person involved, why there is an English subtitle? I mean, we understand the language, but didn't hit my head at that point that there could be, an audience outside of that border of our country that they could be exposed. And as I learn about Ray's movies and how much it went to the West, and then I was taken aback. And there's definitely a reason of subtitle. And if anyone truly loves movies or cinemas, language cannot be any barrier. I mean,
no,
that's what yeah.
Have you seen The Mummy since then with in English, like the original, not dubbed?
Yeah, that was way better experience than the dubbed. There are other movies like Rush Hour or something, like you miss Jackie Chan's voice, or
yeah, exactly.
Someone else is giving his voice, and it's not the same.
Yeah, you're not getting the performance. No, you're getting some secondhand performance. It's not that good. So right now in Bangladesh, do you get movies with Bengali subtitles?
I think there are lots of people are actually working on it. I know a lot of people do Bengali subtitle for South Korean films. Because South Korean films are fairly popular in university students and medical students. They like South Korean thrillers, and they get lots of Bengali subtitle. I believe there are lots of Hollywood films that's been subtitled there is availability of subtitle in Bengali. I don't know of any Hindi language movie. When I say Indian movie, I don't want to say just Hindi, because Indian movie is way bigger than just Bollywood movies, right? It's of so many languages and so many varieties, and I don't know if every bit of it. Like, I know some South Indian movies, like suppose Vikram Veda or something like that, you could get Bengali subtitle. I mean, some people have heard. Yeah. So right now you can get it if you want. But still, if you want to get exposed to more kind of movies, it's probably better to have it in English, or you can at least read it in English.
Interesting. Well, I just want. I guess for me, I just want people to be exposed to film in general. I don't care the language, but if you need subtitles in a certain language, then you should be allowed to have that, to be able to get subtitles in your language so that you can understand it, but hear the performance of the original language, even if you can't understand it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you basically, the more you see the movies, you understand a bit of language. Sometimes, like right now, I've watched 200 movies from South Korea. I do understand certain language of them, and I don't need subtitle at that point of time, but still subtitle helps. So I feel that anyone kind of gives an excuse, it's too hard to read for subtitle, they're missing a lot.
So when you were a kid, did you get any, what were some of the kids shows, like cartoons or TV shows that you gravitated to?
Ninja Turtle, I do remember vividly.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles!
Yeah, right. There was another cartoon, I guess. Obviously, Tom and Jerry was always there, but He-Man. There was a He-Man cartoon, and there was a Captain Planet.
Captain Planet. I remember that. Oh man.
What else? Popeye and sort of.
One of my some of my favorites. Some of my favorites when I was a kid were some of my favorites when I was a kid were DuckTales.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we had a hiccup. Okay, so some of my favorites when I was a kid was DuckTales.
Yeah.
I love DuckTales, and like Batman the animated series.
Exactly. Yeah.
Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, and then Spider-Man, Gummy Bears. I don't even know if you know that one.
Gummy Bears, I probably don't remember. No.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of like little ones that I know didn't go even more than one season in the U.S., but right. Yeah, it's interesting to me that, when I talk, ever since I started this channel, I've been talking to a lot of people from all over the world, obviously. Right. And a lot of people remember the same kind of shows that I did. They grow up with the same things. It's crazy. Yeah,
true. That's, well, I guess everywhere people used to see those.
Were there any Indian TV shows that you would watch?
Indian TV shows. Mostly, I guess there is songs, sort of filmy songs, sort of. They used to call it, after one song of a different film, there's another song. It's almost like a chartbusters at that point.
Okay.
So I do remember seeing them, and there was not too not too many shows I remember from India, to be honest. I do remember like lots of Bengali shows. Well, that's not true. Sorry. Probably some of the like Arabian Nights were dubbed in Hindis and then were dubbed in Bengalis. And then there are lots of those sort of Sinbad, Aladdin sort of, series. They were there, and there was definitely Indian TV series based on Satyajit Ray's writing, Felunath, which is a detective series he started writing for kids, and those are the things where I remember his son actually made a television series of Felunath, and Felunath was a huge hit. I think for any Bengali boy either from India or Bangladesh could relate to this. Felunath was always a hit. So if it's not for Satyajit Ray's direction, or he had a lot of talent, to be honest, but his literature, and I read a lot of books of him in my growing up time, and there was a huge influence of him in my life. I do find either I read his book, or I was hearing the music, or I was seeing his films, or I was there was some. Either way, I was exposed to his materials, and I believe it's probably true for any Bengali boy growing up at teenage.
All right, so if you had to give me your top, let's say top 5 movies growing up, like your nostalgic movies that you could go and watch and it turns you into a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old, what are your top 5? What do you think? They don't have to be any kind of specific order, but.
Right. No, The Adventure of Goopi and Bagha. That's a Satyajit Ray film, and that's definitely in my top 5.
What was it called again? I'm sorry, there was a skip.
Sorry, I know it's in Bengali it's called Goopi and Bagha, but it's in English probably it's called The Adventure of Goopi and Bagha. So there, I'm not giving spoilers or anything. It's a really, really old movie. So one guy who cannot sing and one guy who cannot drum, they suddenly got gift from the King of Ghosts, and they became the best singer and best drummer in the world. And together they can create magic. And that was fun story at that point of time. And it was really old at that point of time. I believe it was made in around 1960s, but it was still relevant when we grew up and we saw the film. That is definitely number 1. There's a Bengali movie or Bangladeshi movie called Dipu number 2. That is basically a story of high school kids. That is also in my top 5. There is Hirak Rajar Deshe, or The Diamond King of Satyajit Ray, which is the second part of Goopi and Bagha, Adventure Goopi and Bagha. That would be definitely in my top 5. And I do have fun memories of watching Rambo, The First Blood. I mean, that's always stick with me. I know the film probably is not as great, but that was the first exposure of any kind of foreign film, and at that point of time, Sylvester Stallone was huge for me.
I would still say that movie is great. I watched it about a year ago, and the social commentary on it is still very well done.
Right, right. I pick it up because of the emotions attached with the film, and there are lots of films. It's unfair to other films, really, but
Yeah.
I would still pick because Sanjay Dutt was huge at that point of time, and I would pick Sadak at that point of time. I watched as a kid. The film probably is a remake of a Western movie or something. I don't remember, but I remember the movie, and it was Indianized, and it was great at that point of time. It was almost like a Indian Sylvester Stallone, but so that was something at that point of time. So this would be my top 5 at this moment. It might be different probably 10 minutes later.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't like asking top 5s. I don't like answering them, because after I say them, about an hour later, I think of other movies that should be on the list. But
right.
And I'm sure people in the comments below are going to give us their top 5, and it's going to be totally different from ours, but that's fine. No big deal.
Yeah.
It's more of just a kind of nostalgia and what pops in our head.
Exactly. There are lots of memories, maybe because of not of that movie, because of something was going on or something. It just stick with you for years, right? So
exactly.
What are yours top 5? I mean, I would like to know at this moment.
For when I was a kid, I would have to say, I'd have to lump the Star Wars trilogy, the original Star, as just one. I'll just put them all in one. The Dark Crystal, The Black Cauldron, which was a Disney animated film, and I'll put that along with another Disney film that came out around the same time. It was what's the name of it? And I see the poster in my head. The Great Mouse Detective.
Right.
I loved those two. They were very dark. I liked a lot of dark stuff when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, First Blood was so violent, too.
Yeah. And then I would say RoboCop.
That's a nice series. I remember that is dubbed in Bengali. I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, those were the ones that I loved the most. And then when I became a teenager, it changed a lot.
Yeah,
because I got exposed to everything else. But yeah, I loved a lot of the really dark cartoons and the dark times of Disney in the early 80s were some of my favorite Disney movies. But they don't make that anymore.
No, they're always right. It's something different. I mean, they're making some very good content, but still, it's not as same. It's not.
No, if you watch The Black Cauldron or The Great Mouse Detective, it's a lot darker than people remember. It would not go very well as a kid's movie today. No,
it would be certified something.
Yeah, but I loved it, and I still do. Like I'll watch those over and over again. And then some of my favorite movies of all time are The Princess Bride and Monty Python and the Life of Brian. Those two are probably up there with and the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Those three are kind of like my top favorite movies, but I guess the Princess Bride, I could watch that over and over and over and over again and be perfectly happy.
No, it is a movie, to be honest. The same happened with me when I was starting to watch Indiana Jones. And then I couldn't forget about Indiana Jones, and it was like, I would be archaeologist or something like that, and I would start doing this sort of work. This is what I want to do. But anyway, that was influential movie as well. So
yeah, I love Indiana Jones, the first three.
Yeah,
I don't talk about the fourth one.
No,
The
let's
the
not
the,
talk
the
about it.
I heard they were making a fourth one. I don't know if it's been done. I'm just going to ignore the fact that there was something like that. All I know is that there's 3 Indiana Jones movies, and it ended on a really great note with Sean Connery as his father, and that's right.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen South Park?
South Park, yeah.
Yeah, the cartoon. So
Yeah.
it takes place in my state. I live in Colorado, and South Park takes place up in the mountains right over here.
Oh, I see. So it must be very close to your heart then.
Yeah, it's funny because I understand most of the references, because a lot of the references they have in there are not just international, but they have a lot of local kind of Coloradan feel that only Colorado people probably would get. But they had this really funny scene where the kids go and watch Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. I don't know if you saw that scene.
Yeah.
But they're sitting there going, "What? Why are you raping Indiana Jones?" they're like crying. They're coming out of the theater and they're all traumatized. That's kind of how I felt after seeing that. So in my mind, we only have 3 Indiana Jones movies. Just like in my mind,
I saw the 4th one. I was,
so
what
bad.
a disaster! What a disaster!
It's like with the original Batman movies, the Tim Burton movies. To me, there's only 2.5 of those movies. So you have Batman, you have Batman Returns, and then you have Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Yeah.
In a 3rd movie, but the rest of the movie around Jim Carrey sucked.
Is something else. It's
and
not
then
bad.
I heard there was a 4th movie, but I think I pushed that out of my head. You know, I probably had to go to therapy for it. It was like
it's like what should I say? Like Breaking Bad. I mean, it's keep coming.
Yeah.
You want it or not, it's keep coming.
Yeah, and then Christopher Nolan saved us all by redoing the Batman trilogy. Love you
for sure. But then it paved the way of lot more of nonsense.
Yeah.
Like every superhero film has to be some sort of dark background, and then it has to be the same sort of Zimmerman sort of score, and every loud and
Well, I think we've been getting this kind of wave, you know, where you have some people that think comic book movies have to be dark and serious, and you have other people that think comic books need to be like light and fun. And I kind of feel right now that we're getting in a moment where it's blending a bit, where people are finding out that they can be fun, but they can be dark at the same time. Like you can have all of those dramatic elements in one film. You don't have to be all super fun comic book, and you don't have to be all super dark. That you can mix it. You can mix and match. Just make a good movie.
Yeah, like the first Deadpool or something like that. Right. But what's happening with the comic book movies or superhero movies, for an example? It's getting tiring for me personally. I don't know about others. I cannot speak for others. It's definitely making money. That's why they keep making it. And mass people loving it, I guess. But it's getting... Well, I got tired of it, and I stopped watching any kind of superhero movies unless there is something very different they're offering. Otherwise, you know everything what's going to happen.
So what are some of the last couple of comic book movies that you did watch that you liked?
I like the last one would be the Deadpool.
Deadpool 2?
No, I didn't watch that yet. I'm still kind of nervous about it, because when it comes to the second part, it normally gets diluted, and it's not as good as So I haven't watched it yet. I thought Captain America second. It was a Civil War. Was it second?
Yep.
Was good. Yeah, I can't remember much more than that, to be honest.
So you haven't watched like in Black Panther or Infinity War?
Infinity War I watched and I probably stopped at midway. I was not getting much of it. No.
Well, I think for you to get Infinity War, you would need to watch Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I watched Thor. I mean, I started watching Thor, and then...
Well, no, see, the thing about Thor, this is the weird thing. So, the first Thor is okay.
Yeah.
The second Thor is not good.
No. Thor
Ragnarok is very good.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, yeah, that's how it's going on, right? So, yeah. It's lots of hits and misses, and
see, I watch everything.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know, and obviously after Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, I probably didn't watch any Batman. Oh, I did watch Batman versus Superman, and that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was super bad. So yeah, I don't really speak much about superhero film much because it's for the masses, I feel. There are one or two movies coming out. I've heard good things about the recent Avengers, but haven't seen it yet. But not really. I think there are a lot more other stories, especially human stories, kind of, and that's drew me towards South Korean movies. And there are a lot of other movies that, because I was not getting as much as human story as I was getting the superhuman story and saving the world and stuff like that. I mean, it is okay, but after a certain period of time, you get tired of it. Similarly, from Bollywood movies, like you get the same romance, same actor, same sort of dance numbers, same sort of music. You know what's going to happen. So you get tired of it and you look for something else. And that is why I believe the Indian film is actually evolving, especially I'm talking about Bollywood film. I mean, there are regional films that are really making very, very good movies all over India. But I feel Bollywood is evolving slowly.
I think part of the reason why I don't get tired by some of the movies, like you were saying, getting comic book fatigue or, Bollywood fatigue, is I watch so many movies that I get different genres all the time. Right. And so I have no problem going back to a comic book movie because it's not the last thing I saw. Like tonight, I just saw Jordan Peele's new movie, Us.
Right.
And it was awesome.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Yeah.
Horror movie, and it's freaky. Right. It is freaky, and they do a great job. I love Jordan Peele. I like everything he does. But yeah, so I watched a horror movie tonight. I think last night me and my brother watched Overlord, which was a kind of a sci-fi horror historical movie. It's about World War II. That was very interesting. It was produced by J.J. Abrams. I liked that one a lot, but that was very different. So I watched so many different kinds of movies that when I come back to a comic book movie, I'm like, oh, a comic book movie,
Right. No, totally, I get it. But it's still kind of frustrating. I mean, I don't mind if it's sort of different genre or something. I do watch variety. I don't normally like romantic film, but if it's like really good story, I'm engaged. That's what I need, right? Like films like Oasis. I'm talking about a South Korean movie. It's a really old movie, I believe 2001 or 2. That's the best romantic movie you can see in probably in years. And then
what was it called?
Oasis.
Oasis?
Yeah, fantastic story in terms of that's what romance should be. I mean, not like picture skew, hero heroine typical sort of story, coming off from India. That used to happen, like lots of SRK movies. That he's this hero, he has the charm, he has the aura, and there is the girl. And there used to be a very kind of formulaic movie, and I got tired of those films. It's probably good to explore every genre movie, but still you find it's probably not as best. And you get tired of it. So same with the comic book sort of character. I mean, there are different directors approach it very differently. That's why I guess there is up and down you see in different movies. Sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't. But my point is, it's there used to be lots more sci-fi sort of, not talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about something like Interstellar or something. Those sort of movies are not being made. Well, there are gravities, and there are lots of other.
I kind of wish my brother was here right now, because you and him would be like going off back and forth like so much. Because my brother hates comic book movies. He absolutely hates them, and he has only like a few that he likes. He liked Thor Ragnarok. He refuses to watch Infinity War. He has no interest in that whatsoever. But he loved Deadpool. So there's like very kind of specific comic books. And right now he's watching the FX show Legion. He really loves, he really loves Legion. But you and him would have so much to talk about. Like, right. I could just sit to the side and let you guys go back and forth. You sound just like my brother. It's so funny. It's awesome.
Right. That's nice. I don't hate kind of comic book movies, but when you see there's not the same treatment like you wish for, and there is a reason. You certainly like certain films that you don't, and it doesn't work for you. And that's why I'm really liking the new wave of Bollywood films or Bollywood directors. They're trying different things, like the movies that Ayushmann Khurrana is doing of late, or Rajkumar Rao. They're very refreshing, to be honest, and they're more close to the life of the people rather than I'm watching dance numbers from a very, very good looking hero of Bollywood. I mean, I could watch that, but still, come on. I would rather watch an older movie that would be more meaningful. Anyway, that's just me, because there are a lot of contents to watch, and I was watching really new series, I believe, in Amazon, Made in Heaven, and that was made by Zoya Akhtar, Rima Katki. They're fantastic. India is making some fantastic web series at the moment.
I heard that one was really good. Very good. In terms of, there's been never, the male protagonist was never, in homosexuality is such a taboo thing in India. There's lead, he's homosexual. And it's not shown in any kind of negative way or kind of comic way, or they're making fun of it. No, he still stays as a normal person as he is, but it's about a lot more social commentaries and the elite wedding and what goes behind it, and what is involved and what are the stories, what are typical sort of problems people face. I loved it. So yeah, they're really good content. So I'd rather see good content than superhero movies. Did you see Breathe?
I did. I loved it. I actually liked it a lot. And obviously I'm a huge fan of Madhavan. From his early days, I was exposed. Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein was his first Bollywood movie. And at that point of time, there was a bit of comparison of him being the new SRK. but I'm glad he didn't follow the SRK. He is way more versatile as an actor.
He does his own thing.
Yeah,
I like that.
He has fantastic body work, not in just Hindi film industry or just Tamil film industry. There are other industry he worked, and he has done fantastic work. He's a fantastic actor, and what really separates him, he's first an actor and then a star. And there are lots of other Indian actors. They're first star and then they're actor.
Right. No, I get that. Like, Madhavan I would put in there where he's more of an actor before he's a star. I would say the same thing about Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's much more of an actor. Like, the stuff he can do just with his eyes.
Yeah, or Manoj Bajpayee, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm really excited for Rocketry. I cannot wait for Madhavan, and I had talked with him.
Oh yeah, I've seen. I did see his human part. I mean, he's such a huge star, but he was talking to you, and
No, but I mean, like in the past month, I had I get to talk to Madhavan. Like I get to email him and just see how things are going. It's kind of weird, but anyway, I was talking with Madhavan past few weeks about just how excited he is about it, and so I'm really looking forward to Rocketry because he has so much. I can feel so much of his passion getting pushed into that project.
Right.
Just in his emails, I can feel that passion.
Yeah. No, you can see he has done the last Hindi film he did. I think he was the coach of boxing. Haram Khor or something like that. I can't remember. But it was fantastic. I mean, it was brilliant. He did another horror film in India. I mean, horror film in India is normally not a very good genre to see the movies. But that movie I remember was good too. So he has done some very unique sort of work, and obviously that's why he has followers, and I think it's because of him I've seen Vikram Vedha, and then I noticed other actors and the Tamil industry, and then I started watching South Indian films.
Yeah,
well, I watched a little bit before, but not as much.
Yeah, Vikram Vedha is something I still go back to sometimes because I don't know, it's not just because Madhavan actually saw my review of it, which I didn't know. I didn't actually know he watched my review until he mentioned it during the Breathe interview when he retweeted it. I didn't know that he saw my review of Vikram Vedha. But I liked Vikram Vedha because I had seen a lot of the stuff like that before, where you have good guy, bad guy, both characters are kind of in the gray area. And I like that. I love those kind of gray area characters. It's not so black and white. It's
almost like a mirror. It's almost like a mirror. Each one is seeing the other side.
Exactly. It's like, like watching Heat, and you have that scene with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro next to each other, and you get that same kind of sequence with the interrogation. But also I can't get over, no matter how many years it's been, I can't get over the music video for Tasaku Tasaku. It is like one of my favorite things of all time. And it could be because I'm a big hairy dude and I just love watching big hairy dudes party in a bar. But I love it. Like I watch it. I watch it all the time. Every time I need a smile on my face, I just throw on Tasaku Tasaku and I just get in there. I'm like, like
it's a catchy song. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those.
I don't understand the word of it. as I mean, I could read it, but I don't have to read it.
I don't know what they're saying.
I like it. It's almost like if you have seen Kabali's trailer, there was a music.
Yeah.
That's so catchy. I mean, obviously there's Rajinikanth.
Well, that's my vote. That's my most seen video, is the Kabali trailer of me kind of just dancing around. I think it's like 245,000 views or some crazy, something crazy like that. But yeah, I couldn't stop listening to that song either. Like that song just, but I gravitate towards metal. And so the Kabali song surprised me because it was one of the first Indian songs I heard that had more of a metal theme to it. And that's why it gravitated to me so much. And then ever since then, people told me about Bloody Wood and, you know, some of these other metal bands from India, street metal. And then, but that Tusaku song, for me, it's like I can see myself in the middle of that crowd dancing along with everyone else and just blending in and fitting in, just like I could easily be an extra in that sequence and be right back in there. Yeah. Yeah. But like that, I don't know. I absolutely love that song. Anyway, we've been talking for over an hour. This is awesome. Yeah. I think we had a great conversation, Ronnie. This is great that you wanted to do this. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Pleasure is mine. And likewise, I thank you for, you know, I definitely work. So sometimes time is a factor as well. But yeah, thank you for finding time. And yeah, if you need, because I'm very studious in terms of, and I'm very kind of particular about some film history and I was close to India and I've seen a lot of Indian movies, but I do like lots of thriller, lots of action sort of film. That doesn't mean that I don't like romantic sort of movies too. If it's really good, I'd watch it.
Yeah, but I'm the same way. Like I gravitate towards action, but if there's a good romance movie, I'll watch it. But it has to be a very special romance movie for it to grab my attention.
Exactly. For me to sit down at least 1.5 hour, 2 hours to actually see it. Yeah. And yeah, no, it's been great. And but I've seen lots of other Indian. There are lots of, you know, Western people are reacting on Indian movies or reviewing. I've started a little bit of review. I didn't do much of Indian movies, well, except 1 or 2 probably. But I felt, you know, you are very unique in that way, and that's why I kept following. And obviously, lots of people, they talk about Indian films. It doesn't talk about much of Satyajit Ray or his work. And if you think that sometime we could even talk about Ray's work, and because he's a big influence, not for just Indian movies, is one of the influential director of the whole world cinema, and that's something that nobody ever touched it, which is kind of surprising.
You're breaking up there. Sorry, missed the last sentence.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm just repeating that if you think, you know, in future, if you have time, we could go through and, you know, talk about it. I'm not really a person to talk about his, you know, films, but still, there's something better than nothing. Nobody else was talking about Ray's movies and work and stuff like that.
Well, again, send me a list of some of the stuff that we talked about, and you know, I would love to try and check some of that stuff out when I have time. But thank you again for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Also, send me links to your social media or wherever else you want me to put in the description, which will be in the description below. So check that out. And links to all of my stuff, of course, is always in the description. Check that out. And I will see you on the next video.